Guys, the season finale of Holiday Baking Championship had the bakers showcasing their cake finishing styles inspired by the past, the present, and the future. So I jumped into my home kitchen and I am inspired by what they did. And this is my finale of Holiday Baking Championship Extra Sweet. I'm Zach Young. The future is upon us. The future style of finishing is mirror glaze. It is that shiny, glossy, colorful glaze that you see a lot in like modern Parisian pastry. So I said, why not take that and make holiday ornament cake pops out of it? Yes. Christmas ornament cake pops with mirror glaze. So we'll start with our cake pop. I have one boxed yellow cake mix made and crumbled. Use the box here because we are going to play with it. We're going to make a ganache, a quick ganache, to bind our cake crumbs together. Cake pops, sometimes it's frosting, sometimes it's a ganache. You know, you just need a binder, a glue for these cake crumbs. So I have 1.25 cups of white chocolate chips and 3 tablespoons of heavy cream. I'll put them in a heat-proof glass bowl and gently melt this over a double boiler. You can also do this in a microwave-safe glass bowl. Just until this mixture comes together. And let's talk about flavor. You know, one of my favorite holiday flavor combinations, orange and cranberry. So we'll add 1/4 teaspoon of orange extract. You could also use orange zest if you have it, if you have oranges laying around. And we'll add our orange and white chocolate ganache into my cake crumbs. And finally, we'll add 1/2 cup of chopped dried cranberries. And you want to chop these pretty small because when you roll the cake balls, you want them to really be perfectly round. The finer the cranberry, the more kind of little tiny pops of tartness you'll get. Now, I'm gonna go in with my hands. Cake pops are all about the handiwork, you know? Making sure that our cranberries get evenly dispersed. I have a 3/4 ounce ice cream scoop. These are great for cookies, great for ice cream, and great for shaping cake pops. I'll take this mixture and kind of jam it in. The scoop helps not only portion, but helps you shape these into perfect little rounds. My rolling technique, I think comes from like my pottery classes growing up. I use the heels of my hand and kind of flex my fingers and let the ball roll around in this kind of crevice created in the palm of your hand. Once all your cake balls are rolled, you want to refrigerate them for about 30 minutes until they are firm. Very important step. Our cake balls are chilling. We are going to make a magic shell glaze to coat the outside of these cake pops. So I have one 11-ounce bag of white chocolate chips and 3 tablespoons of vegetable shortening. You can also use coconut oil here. And we'll gently melt this over a double boiler or in a microwave-safe bowl in the microwave for about 30 seconds, just until it's melted. I'll put this in a small glass. Our cake pops have chilled. They're cool, they're firm, so let's dip them. We're double dipping these pops, so we're dipping them once in this white chocolate magic shell and dipping them again in the mirror glaze, and that's gonna give us a smooth finish. The more coats you get, the more imperfections you can hide on these cake balls. It's kind of like makeup, like the more you put on, the less wrinkles you see. I'm actually 97. We have our lollipop sticks. I happen to find these gold ones. They now sell them in many different colors. And we'll dip the top of the stick in a little bit of this white chocolate. And that's going to hold the cake onto the stick. If you don't dip it, the cake could fall off. So this is our little glue on the inside. And now we'll dip our pops. So want to dunk, twist, twirl off the excess there. Take your time with this. If your pops start to get a little bit warm, you can pop them back in the fridge. You want to make sure that your first coat starts to get really even, so these look like perfectly round Christmas tree ornaments. And now we'll stick them in a styrofoam board. These styrofoam boards you can find at craft stores, like flower supply stores, online. But they're great for making cake pops. They're great for a lot of like cake decorating things because you can just stick things into them and they'll stand up. Once you're done with your dipping, put it in the fridge for an hour. Again, you want to keep this firm. The future is mirror glaze. It is that shiny, colorful glaze that you see a lot in like modern French pastry. And I thought it was so perfect for an ornament because it basically has the same finish. So to make it, we'll start by blooming some gelatin. We have a 1/4 cup of cold water and 2 envelopes of powdered gelatin. We'll sprinkle it over, let that hydrate. That's what, when you hear blooming gelatin, we are just hydrating the gelatin. And while that sits, we have a 1.5 cups of granulated sugar, 3/4 cup of water, and 2/3 a cup of condensed milk. There is no substitute for condensed milk, by the way. It is condensed milk or nothing. I know you love condensed milk, don't you, you spoiled little doggy? We will cook our liquid just till it comes to a boil. Now we'll add our bloomed gelatin, let that dissolve. Now you actually don't want to start whisking this because when you whisk, you start incorporating little air bubbles. And the mirror glaze, you want to be totally flat and smooth and shiny. So stick to the spatula. Be gentle with the mirror. It's like when you talk to yourself in the morning, be gentle with the mirror. Say, good morning, Zach. You look great today. You definitely haven't gained any holiday weight. No, really, Zach, have more donuts. That's what you should have for breakfast. Skip the gym. Totally cool. Okay, our gelatin has dissolved, melted, but just want a little extra insurance. So I have a fine mesh strainer and I have 11 ounces, 1 bag of white chocolate chips. And we'll strain our liquid over that. We just want to catch any like rogue sugar clumps or sometimes the gelatin clumps a bit. And now you'll let this sit until you see that the white chocolate has started to melt. And again, when you're mixing this mirror glaze, really gentle. You don't want those air bubbles to start forming. You could flavor this mirror glaze with any kind of liquid or neutral colored extract. I wouldn't do any spices or anything granulated because it is like a totally shiny, sheeny glaze, so any little specks of things will be really evident. So our mirror glaze, totally smooth, homogeneous, my favorite word. You can color this mirror glaze however you want. Right now, I'm just gonna do the green. I'll make some red later. And the gel food colors work really well here because they're concentrated and they don't add more liquid to this recipe. And you want the color to be pretty robust in the glaze because it'll end up being poured in a thin layer over that white chocolate base. So go darker than you think you need. So we'll let our mirror glaze sit until it reaches 90 degrees Fahrenheit. Really important that it's 90 degrees because that's just at the point where the gelatin's about to set. When you dip those cold pops in, the gelatin and the white chocolate sets around that pop. If it's too warm, it's going to be runny, it's going to melt the white chocolate. So 90 degrees. You want to use a digital thermometer. They are really inexpensive and a great tool in the kitchen. So while our mirror glaze is cooling to 90 degrees, let's make some ornament toppers. Yeah, we're getting precise here. It's the season finale, come on. I have some mini peanut butter cups. Why? Because I like to snack on them, but also because I think they look like the top of the ornaments, that little like crinkled foil. And to make our ornaments gold, we'll use edible gold powder and vodka. So we're making a gold paint, an edible gold paint. The vodka here basically evaporates. So just use it to make a paste, and then it evaporates really quickly, leaving behind this gold paint. And what you want is a paste, pretty thick paste, because you want to fully coat this chocolate. Meanwhile, back at the Mirror Ranch, my mirror glaze has hit 90 degrees. Perfect. And because you're in my home kitchen and I'm an overachiever, extra credit, I also split the batch and made some red too. And we'll pour our glaze into a nice, tall, high container for dipping. And you want a container that is also maybe heat-proof or microwave safe, because if this glaze starts to get too cold, you can always just flash it in the microwave for like 10 seconds, get it back up to 90 degrees. If you have not worked with mirror glaze, it is very sticky, all right? Just fair warning. All right, my coated and dipped cake pops have chilled for an hour. This coating is firm. It's important that these be cold. You can also flash them in the freezer. The cold pop is going to grab that glaze. Both gelatin and chocolate set around 90 degrees. So that's why they're such good friends, and that's why this mirror glaze works. So we'll take one of our pops, we'll dip it in, let it sit for a couple seconds, pull it out, let the excess run off of it. And you do want to keep this upside down as long as possible, because if you start to tip to the side, you might end up with one side that has a little heavier coating and another side that's a little lighter. Make sure you space your pops out because the mirror glaze is quite sticky, so you want to make sure that they won't touch when they go into the fridge. The ornament pops are all dipped. Now we'll put them in the fridge for at least an hour to fully set that glaze. Now I'm finishing them. If you get a little mirror glaze dribble while they sit, which will happen, just take a damp paper towel and clean off the stick. And now we'll put our little ornament topper on. And you can actually use your kind of leftover mirror glaze glue just so it makes contact with the top of the mirror glaze there. And we'll let it join its carol of the bells over here. And there you have it, Christmas ornament cake pops with mirror glaze. Take that and hang it on your tree. Yeah, this is like a cranberry orange blondie almost. And that white chocolate coating adds a perfect little crunch and just enough sweetness. Thank you so much for joining me in this season of Holiday Baking Championship Extra Sweet. It has been so much fun to have you in my home, and hopefully I've inspired you to get into your kitchen and bake and play around and have fun with your recipes. We'll see you next year. Hope you're not naughty. Or you are. Call me.